Welcome one and welcome all to Write That Down, a Probitus podcast. I am your host, Matt Fisher, and I'm turning the sound down now with my left hand so I can go to camera one. We got Phil Irwin. Hi,
Hey,
Phil.
everybody.
We got Mark Jansen across the hall from me.
Oh, hi.
There he is. And I didn't even okay, do it again. I went on me. And then across the way, we got Mark Jansen.
Hello.
Oh, there. Okay. See, y'all missed that first part. So we got to redo it. And then to my right is Mrs. Chrissy Lund.
Hello.
Oh. Hey, Chris. There it is. Chrissy got applause. We practiced the new sound effects. The crew in before was doing a movie review. Victor, right? Yes. Victor, and then who else was part of the movie? Dale, and was Paul too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. The whole crew was here doing a movie review. 2022 best of, and they went a little long, and now we have Victor here as our first in-house studio audience.
Live
Studio audience. So live on a recorded podcast, but live, we're all alive, and Victor is as well. So welcome Victor to the show. Yeah. Always appreciate it. Yeah. So I want to check in with a little something different today, and just to get everybody to know us a little bit better. So the question I have for you is, when somebody asks you where you're from, what do you say? Because we're all from different places, right? I mean, yes, we're all from different places, but I mean, like, even me personally, where was I born versus where did I grow up and all that stuff. So I know each of you is born in a different place, lived in some different places, live here in Grand Forks, North Dakota right now, East Grand Forks for Chrissy. So I'm going to start with Phil. Hey, Phil, where are you from?
It's complicated. Your lead-in
I kind of assumed that you would say that.
Your lead-in is accurate. Here's my standard answer, because I've gotten this question many times in my life. I'm from Garrison, North Dakota.
Thanks. Good to see you. Thanks, Phil. Mark, where are you from?
I'm originally from Park River, but
Thanks.
live in Grand
Park
Forks.
River. Okay. Chrissy, where are you from?
Grand Forks.
There it is. All right. So, okay, now we'll go back to Phil. Originally from Garrison, North Dakota.
But not originally. So I was born in Bay City, Michigan.
Okay.
And lived there till I was 10. We moved to Garrison, North Dakota.
And I will say,
that point,
when you say it, and you have to say you say Bay City.
Bay City.
Yeah, Bay City, Michigan. You wouldn't say Michigan as a state, because everybody from around here would say, "Oh, he's from Michigan, North Dakota."
So I learned that when I moved here.
Right,
so
and that's why you say that.
I'm from Michigan, and they're like, "Oh yeah, cool.
me too,
That's like right around where I'm from." And it's like, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
why would a town name itself? Actually, I just answered that question because there's like all these towns that are new this, new that, and it's like nobody has an original thought, so they just name whatever town.
Did you know there's a town in Michigan named Wyoming? Talk about confusing.
Yeah, that good for those guys.
But I mean, that's the same as Michigan, North Dakota, right?
Yeah.
And to Phil's point, why wouldn't it be New Michigan?
Or like you have like the New Salem, New Brighton,
Right.
New Brunswick. It's like, oh, please, like just let Brunswick have itself.
Exactly. And Michigan, they don't even get New Michigan. It's like, no, this is Michigan now. And truly, that's what people think. So Michigan, then Garrison.
And now I'm from Grand Forks, I guess.
But is that what you say? Like, if somebody
The
says,
reason-
where are you from?
The reason I chose to answer the question from here to the rest of my life as Garrison, North Dakota, is that my formative years that I can recall with great detail are all Garrison, North Dakota.
And you're speaking of your memory, it's unbelievable. Like, what you can retain in your brain. I think they say most people use like 2 or 3, 4%. I think you literally use like 10% of your brain.
Hey, thank you.
No, it's a compliment. Like,
great.
you can pull stuff out, and like, so when you said if my formative years, it would have been like the last 24 hours. That's my formative years. So okay. So from Garrison, Mark, you said,
A lot of times will say, I'm from Grand Forks, but I live in Grand Forks, but I'm originally from Park River.
okay.
But I do have one thing before I go on. I have to make a public apology
Oh my.
To who?
What is it regarding?
to all of our listeners because of our episode last time when I said that you were dressing weirdo. I've had several death threats and people coming after me. So to all those people, Matt Fisher is a friend.
Yes. And
I was just using it as an example.
And I will say it. I am your friend, so please stop those death threats, Mom. It's not the time or place to
Man,
do that.
I had no idea our show got to people that
Yeah.
were killers.
Far reacher.
Well, my family.
Yeah.
They're
Are
quite
you sure?
protective.
Are you sure it wasn't the Jeffrey Dahmer references from the last few episodes?
Oh, maybe
that
that's what it was.
inspired the death threats.
I don't know. Well, I accept your apology.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Now I feel better.
So now you're from Grand Forks, but you throw in that grew up in Park River, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, just because Park River's kind of, an infamous place, I think.
Yeah.
Small town people identify with their small town.
Yeah.
Garrison's a
So
small town.
We got Garrison.
That's what I'm saying.
We've got Grand
We're
Forks / Park River. And I will say this about you. Whenever you run into anybody in town, and I know Phil and Chrissy can substantiate this, it's like, oh yeah, we know Mark. He's from Park River.
Mark knows
and then
everyone.
Park River, yeah, and Park River's like the epicenter of everything popular because they know where Park River is and they know Mark. So I would say maybe you should lead with I'm from Park River, but I have to call Grand Forks home now.
Good answer. I'm going to remember that
I
one.
mean, just try it. You probably get less death threats. All right, Chrissy, where are you from?
Well, that is also complicated.
Yeah, because you said Grand Forks.
I say Grand Forks because, as Phil said, formative years were spent here. Probably been in Grand Forks longer than I've been anywhere else. So,
Okay, and
But then
currently, where were you born?
Anderson, South Carolina.
Okay, and then where did you spend most of like your elementary school?
So, we lived in Sioux Falls, South Dakota for a while.
Okay,
I did not go to school there. We moved to Oklahoma City, and I did kindergarten, first and second grade there.
okay,
And then we moved to Grand Forks, and I went all the way through college, and then I escaped for a while.
okay.
I went to Wyoming, and then I came back.
All right, so you would say, if you're going to Phil's formative year comment, you would
Yeah.
say that your formative years were Grand Forks.
Yeah.
Yes.
See,
And-
that totally works with my
Yeah.
timeline too.
Okay.
And I say Grand Forks, even what I would probably say to a stranger is Grand Forks, North Dakota, but we actually live across the river in East Grand Forks in Minnesota.
Right,
That's
and
a classic Grand Forks answer.
Yes.
right. Very condescending to the East Grand Forks.
No, it has
people.
not. It's
She
I'm not
wants to be
saying
on the
you're
good side of the
condescending.
river.
Well, I did not go to school in East Grand Forks.
Right. And I mean, we can get into Grand Forks, East Grand Forks talk now, but we probably shouldn't if we're talking about the death threats that Mark's already gotten about
Yeah.
me.
It
It'll
has
only
calling me
nothing to
weird.
do with East Grand Forks. It has everything to do with what people would recognize as a place on the map.
Right. Because Grand Forks, everybody knows Grand Forks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then I just say, but I live across the river in Minnesota.
Right. But you're not from East Grand Forks.
No.
Right.
Here's a funny
Now,
trivia.
let me ask one more
Oh, come
question.
on.
Well, I want to ask another question, a follow up to the follow up.
But I got
So
something to
let's
say.
Phil, one more follow up, okay? I'm really using my finger today.
Yeah.
Like now I'm feeling like I'm gonna get death threats from Phil's family.
So I very quickly just wanted to say that the town I was born in, Bay City, Michigan, is like a Grand Forks, East Grand Forks sort of town.
On the
where it's
river?
split, where we had Bay City and Essexville. I technically lived in the town of Essexville, but they were just merged into one another. Similar,
What was your address?
610
Not
Woods.
your address, not your house address, like your city.
What-
Don't dox somebody.
I could bring it up on Google Maps. Like, my parents taught me one of those songs. They're like, "My name is Philip John Irwin. I live it," and then I would insert the address, which I still know, but I guess I won't say.
No.
Anyway, my address was Essexville,
Okay, so
but the
was the hospital in Bay City?
Yeah, it was in Bay City.
See, that's interesting because like my youngest we lived in East Grand Forks, but he was born at Altru, so that was technically North Dakota, not Minnesota.
Does East Grand Forks have a hospital?
No, just clinic.
Oh.
A couple clinics.
What does a clinic do?
It's Band-Aid station.
Oh yeah,
All right.
Got it.
Oh, okay. Now, thanks, Phil, for that interruption. Now I do remember the question I had because my lifespan and memory goes back 24
Your
hours.
formative
I can-
years.
yeah, my formative years have allowed me to pull that memory. And the question is, so now let's fast forward, I don't know, 25, 30 years of your life, and you've been in East Grand Forks for most of your life, and you're sitting on a beach in, Myrtle Beach, and is that South Carolina?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for validating that. South Carolina, and you're holding a cocktail, and somebody comes up to you and says in some southern drawl, "Where you all from?" And you say,
Minnesota.
"Oh,
what?
okay, so Minnesota."
Yeah, because like right now, like remember when they had what was Snowmageddon or something down in Atlanta? Georgia and nobody knew how to drive. When you're from Minnesota and it's cold, you're like the man.
Okay, so like you're using it as like you got street cred because
Yeah.
you can drive on bad roads.
That's right.
Gotcha.
I would never use Minnesota for street cred.
Oh, I love Minnesota.
Even though you're from Grand Forks.
What's wrong with Minnesota?
Do you want me to begin now, or
No.
do we have an entire episode
There
for
are
this?
things.
No.
Trust me, there are
No,
things
there are
that
plenty
we won't
of
get into.
Our thousands of listeners.
There's 10,000
Lakes.
lakes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of listeners that call Minnesota home, and I've no comment about Minnesota and how wonderful or not wonderful it is.
Minnesota
riled
is
up.
like the Norwegian street cred.
And neither does Phil.
We got to move on.
We're gonna move on. Fantastic. For anybody who's wondering, I'm from Grand Forks, North Dakota.
They
Even
were.
though I was born in the district, my claim to fame is I was born in Washington, D.C.
A man with no state.
And I do feel like I do bring that up because I think it's kind of a cool little thing. I was born in the district. Both of my brothers were born in Maryland. So I was born in the hospital in the District of Columbia, or one
Very
of the hospitals.
Hunger
in the
Games.
district.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of
Do you
feel
have like dual citizenship? Like, does that make you like
No.
a citizen of the world and the United
I
States?
told you, he's a man with no state.
I was going to say no until you said citizen of the world, and that made me kind of sound like a superhero of some sort.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with that. Yes, I'm actually dual citizenship, North Dakota and the world.
a ward of the government.
Now you award? Now
They,
it sounds like
they own you.
who's they?
The government.
Who is they?
Oh, jeez. All right. So thank you all for participating and get to know Matt, Phil, Chrissy, and Mark. There's a quote that we want to talk about today, and this is sometimes we go into these podcasts and we're like, I don't really understand why. And for those again who don't know, Matt randomly blacks out, says this quote he thinks is really super deep and possibly spiritual and life changing. And then he tells Phil to write it down, and then Phil writes it down, puts it in a notebook. So then we go back and we go through one of these every week. And this last week, it was kind of like talking about weirdos and stuff when we got there. Sometimes we get into it and we read the quote and we're like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, even though I'm a citizen of the world, I don't know what I'm talking about. But this one, it was kind of like all resonated with us a little bit differently. And Phil remembers
Yeah.
Why this came up. So the quote, it's only 3 simple words, but 3 words that are, I would say, very, very deep. And those words are math wins always. That's the quote. Math wins always. So Phil, why in the world would I have that come to my mind while I'm near you or around you and say, Phil, you got to write that down?
Yeah, this one was great because I had written myself a little subnote below the quote when I consulted the
I
write
got to
this
ask
down
something.
notebook.
Who authorized subnotes?
I did.
Okay. So I suppose it's your notebook. It is my words.
I could tell I had written it down to remind myself of the context for the quote.
Okay.
So I read the
One more thing about the subnotes. Do you have any other subnotes?
yeah.
Oh, geez. Was this the first of said subnotes?
No, there were others where there was like a slight blur, but this one was helpful because it takes us so long to film these episodes.
But we didn't even know that there was going to be episodes.
I know, but
So that gets me to the questions. What's with the subnotes?
I apparently felt it was relevant to remind myself of when it was said.
Wow. So I should take it as like a extra compliment. Like not only did you write it down, you like had to put something extra into
Yeah.
it. Awesome. Okay, so talk about this quote. Math wins always.
Yeah, I wrote down in the subtext that Matt had said this quote after he had helped me calculate banner dimensions for a project I was working on.
Chrissy, have you ever done that?
Geometry. Yes.
All right. Mark, have you done banner dimensions before?
No.
All right. So tell people what that means about, banner dimensions.
Yeah.
And
So I was working on a custom banner project, and it is a shield-shaped banner that comes to a point. So it's rectangular in the top portion, and then typically the last 6 inches to 2 feet, depending how large the banner is, comes down to a point, just like the
so
bottom
you
of
would
a
say,
shield.
to make it simple, for people that may have never taken math in college, that's even possible.
Yeah.
But let's just say that. So we got
Draw a square.
square,
Yeah.
and then a triangle underneath it.
Correct.
Okay.
We need a marker board.
Yeah.
Because we should Maybe season 5
good
we'll
idea.
figure out a marker board. Okay, so we got this random shape, shieldish thing.
Yeah.
And
So it was supposed to be a banner used in the gymnasium. So a large vinyl banner. Client said, hey, we want to do a couple of these. We want to put it on the wall. And so he sent me a photograph of what they'd done previously. But in order to get this project done, I needed at least some approximate dimensions. So I got the total width from the client. I got the total height, but I had to calculate where to begin the little pointed portion.
okay, and why do you think it would get to the point where I would need to make such a comment saying math wins?
Because
Did you want it to be something else?
No, I think you were just saying, I think the context, after you helped me calculate it, you confirmed the diagram that I was drawing, and you're just like, boom, like that's how we solve the problem. Math wins.
Always.
Always.
And I would say if I were to redo it, especially knowing all these subtext things, like, or sub comments, what were they?
They're notes to myself.
Notes to Phil. I would
Yeah.
say, no, Phil, you win.
You helped me win.
No, I don't think I even helped with the math, did I?
I remember laying out like a banner on the floor.
Okay.
And then
so
I
it was
had
like kind of arts and crafts
yeah.
in the office.
I have my tape measure. So usually what I do is I try to visualize if the math that I'm doing makes sense. So I think that's when I came to get you, where I said, okay, I know that this portion of the banner is, 6 feet tall, and, my diagram, this looks about right. Is what I've calculated mathematically going to look good when we put it to paper or put it to vinyl? And so I was doing like a little mini mock-up on my floor. And usually you're using like notepads to like mark your corners, and you got a tape measure. Like you're not actually creating like a full-size pattern.
Right.
But I use that to help myself visualize and see if what I've calculated is accurate. And then Matt comes in and he starts doing computations.
Oh, wow. That sounds impressive. Did I have a calculator?
I don't recall.
I probably didn't.
I didn't write a note to myself about that.
Noted on Phil's paper. It was done in his head. So obviously very good. Okay, so math wins always, and that's we understand that. Now I'm going to ask Mark this first question here. When you hear the word math, how do you react mentally? Like even before you like make just like that, you've got no facial comments, and then I go like this. I say math. What's going on in your brain?
Run.
Okay.
That's a good one.
All right. Why is that?
Well, I would have to say, with my math background, just a disclaimer. Earlier, you mentioned about somebody like graduating college with no math.
Yeah.
That was me.
No, it's not possible.
Yeah, I graduated with my bachelor's degree with no math.
You
class.
have to take college math.
Nope.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't, because when I went to college, it fell under math, science, and technology, and I'd taken chemistry and biology when I thought I was going to be a nurse, and when I left nursing, I didn't have a math class, but you know what? I had my 12 credits, and I was not going to go
Do
back.
you know how much math is involved in chemistry, though?
Yeah, they disguised it.
Right, that's when they did,
I
So,
mean, you do your math wrong, you blow up the building.
Yeah.
so I did not take a math, which was totally fine with me, because math is not my strong suit.
All right. So what was the word you said? Run, right?
Run.
Okay. Hey, blah, 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 math.
Run.
He's like out the door.
Run, Forrest, run. And so it's run, Mark, run.
Run, Mark, run. They might have to have you do a computation in your head. All right, Chrissy, how about when you hear the word math? What goes on in your head mentally? Like just
I do math every day.
Yeah, I get that, but I mean, I'm like,
Yeah, but
I'm looking at you and I'm like, all of a sudden, like, we're just staring at
you
each
just
other.
shout
and then
math at
No, I
me?
wouldn't even shout it. I'll just like look at you and be like, math.
I'll be like, what do you want to know?
I feel like she's fearless.
Yeah.
Like
okay,
she's
so
staring you in the
what
face.
do you wanna
and
know?
She's
So-
like, yeah, so?
yeah.
Yeah, what's the problem? Matt?
Okay, so
Math, there's problems in math. I think I remember that. Story problem. If
Well
Matt
done.
had 3
The
apples
train is going.
and he crossed the road
I hated those.
and he fell and a squirrel ran and got one of the apples, how many apples would Matt have left
Matt
to pick
has
up?
2 apples.
oh, see, she got it. Like she didn't get like even like there was all this stuff going on. And there was even a squirrel, like squirrel, and it just
She
did
had
not
the
stop
answer.
Chrissy. She had it down. Very good. Okay, so I would say in your head mentally you're like challenge accepted.
Yeah.
Okay, and you want that challenge.
I don't want it, but I
Okay.
am prepared to solve said math riddle.
So kind of like a Boy Scout, like always be prepared for
Always
math.
be prepared. Yes.
Okay.
It's everywhere.
All right, it is everywhere. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's and it wins always. So you know it's gonna be.
Numbers are never wrong.
Okay, we'll get back to that one.
Oh yeah, they are. My scale numbers are wrong all the
Unless
time.
unless they're
Right.
wrong numbers. So I would counter your statement.
Oh, is this like our science debate? Is science always right?
What is-
Remember that one?
what's
Science is observation of something.
Yes,
It's
but
neither
there's-
right nor wrong.
But what's a wrong number?
If
Oh, that's like
so
when you
if you
call
go back
somebody
to his math,
and you say, "Hey, is math there?" And they said, "Sorry, there's no math here. Wrong number."
You only get the wrong numbers if you don't know how to do the math.
yeah, I'm just gonna give up
Why?
because
No, I-
Quitter.
his joke was too funny. We need to move on.
All right, fine. So,
It was
so
perfect for
Phil,
that moment.
Okay, so Phil, in your brain, you're sitting there. We're just, obviously we just, as part of our day to day at the office, I walk into an office and I stare at you, which is accurate.
It does happen.
I do that often. So I'm staring at you and you have no idea what's coming, and I'm looking at you. And I say, math. What's going on in your head?
I would say not again.
Oh, so
Yep.
okay. Like again in that situation at the office, it's work
Nope.
math, or like not again.
Oh,
life.
great. I have to tackle math again because I always looked at math as like this obstacle. Like, because I took a lot of math in college. And man, when I graduated, that thought that I don't have to do homework ever again was quite freeing.
Yeah, that was a good feeling.
And I've tried to live my entire life without any sort of continuing education crap. And luckily, I'm in an occupation where they don't like force you to do that junk just so you can keep your whatever license that they tell you to have. So I've been very fortunate that I haven't had to go back for continuing education, anything. There's been a few times I've been required by my employer, not necessarily Probetus, to
Okay,
go
first
back.
of all, you said employer.
Yeah.
And then you
Ugh.
followed it up with like, I didn't even think
Not
it was
necessarily you, Matt.
Right. I didn't even think it was Probetus, and then you're like, well, not necessarily Probetus, but maybe.
The man always finds a way to make you go back. And so that's why, and I mean like the man, but like
the math man?
That's
I
why
didn't even know who the man
Math
was,
man.
and then you're like,
Oh, I thought we were talking the music man. I thought it was the music man.
That's why my response is not again, because it's like, why do I keep having to go back here? Can't I just use what I have if it's required? Why do I have to go back just because?
I have something to say.
No, I gotta. Can I have a follow up?
No, I have to say
See,
something
again.
first.
All right, I'm gonna see if I can remember it. Go
Your
ahead.
kids are going to need help with their math,
Yeah.
and you're not going to know how to do it.
No, I'm just going to say not again.
No,
And then I have to dig in
no,
again.
Phil, it is different now.
Oh, the methods have changed.
It's all different.
You don't carry the one anymore.
You're right.
So
I
had to help my fourth grader with math, and I literally had to write it down, and then I had to sign the sheet so teacher knew that we were doing mom's 80s math because I
Okay.
didn't know how to do his fourth grade math.
We're going to come back to this because I have relevant follow up to your point, and so this gets me excited. I got it, and I've saved it in my short term memory. Back to you, Matt.
Well, I was just wondering who you're upset at right now. Is it continuing education or math? Because like, so if you have to, like, if somebody came to you and said, I have to do math, you have to do math. You're like, oh, geez, I have to do this again. Or were you thinking like education? Like I said, you need to take this class to learn something.
Well, when I said it the first time, I meant math, but now that you bring it up, Matt, I'm just mad at continuing education.
Okay.
Phil doesn't want to learn.
But you do realize, like Christy said, it's like part of everything, right? Like you have to use math.
If it's on my terms, I'm happy to learn.
But I'm not even talking about learning math. I'm just saying like you got to do this. It's math related
Yeah,
in the sense of you got to do it to live.
I use it regularly in my home life when I'm doing projects, measuring and cutting wood.
Yeah, you can't be a woodworker
I built
without math.
I built a fence this summer right before the snow flew, and I nailed it. The math was great.
Bazinga.
Did you use
Nailed
Did you use nails when you made your fence?
No, I prefer
so
to
it
use
would have been a really
screws.
good pun.
No, I
but you
prefer
couldn't have
to-
said I screwed it.
I prefer
because
to use
then the
screws
math would have been bad.
because
Math
it allows
not bad.
you.
Math
this
wins
is
always.
relevant.
I'm listening.
I prefer to
I'm
use
not.
screws because it allows you to change your mind or fix a mistake.
All right.
Much easier.
So what I've gathered so far is Phil is not a fan of math. Mark is not a fan of math. I mean, like beyond not a fan, like possibly at the point
It's
of
fight or
like,
flight.
Well, what I
doesn't
just
know how to do it at all.
Well, what I just don't understand is like with math, thinking back, being the right brain person I am, why are there letters of the alphabet in a math problem?
Those are the ones you have to find.
Well, that makes no sense. That's why math, and realistically, now you tell me how many times in your life since you've graduated that you have to go back and figure out an algebra problem
Yeah,
to
it's
solve the word.
when we
I
did the
think I
banner.
do a lot. Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You do?
That was
That might have been algebra.
we had to
No.
calculate the.
I would have just went on my phone and said, Siri, tell me the answer.
It doesn't work that way.
I don't know.
You have to know how to
Or I
do
would have
the
just
math.
said, you know what? This is the size banner you're getting.
Oh,
We only do a banner this
sorry,
size.
it doesn't matter.
I can just picture me and Matt. We've got our diagram. We're like the rise, the run, the hypotenuse. Let's do this.
Yeah, you got to figure out the perimeter of said area.
There was no perimeter.
Yeah.
That's a circle.
What?
We were doing a triangle at the
No,
time.
diameter is a circle.
Diameter is the circle. Perimeter is the.
Hypotenuse.
Now we're just saying math words. I would say we
Theta.
have a, yeah.
Subtraction.
That's what
Wow.
I feel like we have a very divided table here in the sense of I think
Divided.
Yeah.
Good one.
See, and
Snap.
my math just happens.
Yep.
I don't even think that's.
Since
that's a
we're
pun.
talking math and I'm going to run, we're going to subtract one member from the team here.
Oh. Hey, I'll tell you this
boy.
though. All the stores have their Christmas things 30 to 70% off right now.
That's math.
Now, if you were on a budget, how would you know what your final sale would be?
Well, when you
Not
go pay
again.
for it,
Math. Math.
when you go for pay for it, and if you're using a credit card and the credit card says denied, then you know you're over your limit. So you shouldn't be shopping.
You have to know math to budget
Not no.
to be an adult.
I think Mark has made it a long ways in life without knowing math, and I wouldn't. That's not even fair. Like some math, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quiz
One
me.
banana plus
I'm not-
2
okay.
banana.
2 plus 2, 4.
600 plus 600.
1,200.
Nice work.
Ooh, good one.
Phil.
I knew you'd bring that up.
Oh,
Phil,
no.
600
Darn
plus
it.
600.
So
Oh, he's not even going to do it.
No, I got
My
that.
No, he
7-year-old
did it
does
today.
I
that.
got that one wrong earlier today. Like I was just, oh man.
Okay, I have to tell you a story. Last night.
Oh, she's getting you off the hook.
I was
and you
talking
owe
about
her-
I know, I
Canadian-
you have to- last
You owe her
Tariffs.
big time.
Last night, my 7-year-old, I'm like, you have to go to bed. And he's like, really? Well, he's on Christmas break. So I was like, well, I'm going to bed. And he's like, well, is Daddy going to bed? I said, yes. And he's like, but Daddy was going to tell me when to go to bed. And I looked at my watch and I said, you can stay up till 10. And he says, what time is it? And I said, that's 45 minutes. It was 9:16. He looks at his watch and goes, 44.
Ooh,
Wow.
Yeah. My 7-year-old owned me with math.
well done.
So you can actually own people with math.
So then I just went to bed. I was like, you're on your own.
Mark Jensen.
I feel like I'm in school. I'm going to raise my hand.
Oh, okay.
I
Please.
remember a time when I use math now, because if somebody has the hiccups, this is a cure for the hiccups.
I know one too.
So pretend you have the hiccups, Chrissy.
Oh, jeez.
Okay,
Now we're all
Chrissy,
going to get that.
now
hiccups.
go. What's 3 times 3?
6.
9 plus 2.
Oh, you said times?
Yeah.
3?
No,
Oh.
sorry, 9. I thought he
But
said
see, you
plus.
know what? If somebody has the
Wins.
hiccups, you throw math problems at them, like addition, subtraction, all that, and their
Because it
hiccups will
changes
go.
your brain. I
So
have,
there's math. I've done that before.
I have a surefire cure for hiccups, and it works every single time. You hiccup, yep. I am not a fish.
You say the
You
words.
say
I am
out
not a
loud,
fish?
I am not a fish. I breathe air, not water. I am not a fish. Hiccups
Oh my
gone.
gosh.
Man, that sounds
That's-
pretty
Try
new
it.
age.
It
That
works
is new
every
age.
time for me.
Wow.
Do you have to like have like music going?
No, you just go,
and
I am
you've
not a
got,
fish.
like-
So if you ever hear me in the office saying, I am not a fish,
Okay, because
That-
I haven't, but if I did,
I do it.
Okay,
I am not a
that's-
fish. You are not a fish, Mark.
I might be.
Does it work that other way then? Like if you see somebody else who has hiccups, like can you transfer that power?
Yes, you shout at them. Say, I am not a fish. And then they're
But-
so shocked that you're shouting at them.
And then they probably no longer have the hiccups, but they
no
fill their
longer have
shorts.
the hiccups.
Exactly. Fill their
probably
shorts,
fill their
or-
shorts.
or vomit or something like that. It's something way worse than the
I
hiccups.
guarantee it.
Which
Try
I
it.
shouldn't say because hiccups are really bad.
Try it. I am not a fish.
Everybody does have a hiccup thing. So I'm not a fish, multiplication, or any math problem. Phil, do you have a
Peanut butter.
Oh,
Ooh, I like that.
tell me that one.
What if you don't have any?
Yeah, I'd have the hiccups. Dad would just take a scoop of Jif on a spoon and hand it to me. and they would go away shortly.
Glues your mouth shut.
Yeah, you almost choked to death.
Yeah, he was sick of listening to you hiccuping. He's like, so you're like,
Oh, let's stick peanut butter in this.
See if we
Add
can
some honey.
see if we can clog him up.
I feel like
Feels annoying. Let's put some peanut butter in this.
yeah. I worked with a woman named Linda at another company I was at before, and I had bad hiccups after a Twins game. We were at an event in Minneapolis, and she said, "Oh, this is what you do. You take a glass of water. This is the rim. So usually when you drink, it's like closest to your lips. So what she said is you put like your chin where you would
Oh my
normally put your
gosh.
lips. You go on the other side and you like flip the cup upside down and you drink it backwards."
And you spilled it all on your lap.
Yeah.
Nope. It takes some practice and some time. And I was very coordinated at that time. I think I'm less coordinated now, but I was able to do it and it went away. Now, she was probably doing it to make me look stupid. That said, it probably goes with a lot of this stuff where it's like you get your brain
Changes your brain.
to switch.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see if it is something that Chrissy can actually stop hiccups, because you said, say I'm not a fish, but I think I want you to like start pointing at people and say, you are not a fish.
Well, it
And
worked
then-
because the first time it happened to me that I was with my sister, and she shouts at me, "Say I'm not a fish," and I was so shocked that my hiccups stopped.
So your sister, you got it from your sister.
Yeah, because she shouted it at me,
Because
and now every time I have the hiccups, I say, "I am not a fish."
Right. So your sister helped you. Your dad helped you, Phil. I learned from Linda. Who taught you the multiplication thing, Mark? Or the math
My
thing?
friend Heidi. And the other thing you can do is bitters
Okay.
and a lime.
What about the whole scaring
Isn't
people?
that a
That works too.
Remember, they always tell you to scare
That's
the
why
person?
your fish thing works, because when
Yeah.
you shout at them, they get scared.
Well, yeah, but I don't shout at myself.
I'm not a fish.
Oh, well, like I thought,
not a
we
fish.
had a wonderful chat, and
I breathe
obviously
air,
this
not
one went
water.
a little longer, but I do appreciate the
times
conversation. And if you do want to
Nine.
find any of us and talk to us professionally, you can find us at probituspromo.com. Otherwise,
And we are not fishes.
we are not
not a
fishes.
fish.
All right.
We are not a fish.
Y'all have a great week, and we'll see you next time.